Aydan Al-Saad, if you don't know, get to know. Sometimes you just have to be a little bit ballsy and take those risks, and that is something that I did not that long ago, in 2024. I have loved Aydan's work because we do similar kind of work where I've kind of been doing it on a long form content basis, and I've been doing these interviews with professionals asking about, you know, the best part of their job, the most challenging part of their job. Aydan has modernised it in terms of leaning into the fact that short form content is much more popular nowadays, and it's more digestible in the fact that you can get through 10 videos in the same time as you would have watched one YouTube video, not discrediting the long form content, my own content. Aydan also takes it a step further and encourages pay transparency. So what he also does is ask people around the world, when he goes on different business trips and holidays, he asks them, how much do you make?
How much are you making as a receptionist? Sharing roughly what you make on an annual basis. I mind sharing roughly what you make here in Dubai?
I started working with Aydan recently because I have been shooting some of his videos for him, because sometimes he goes up to people with a mic like this, camera at the same time. However, sometimes he gets a videographer too. So I've been working with him and trying to help him launch his YouTube channel a bit more as well, which is really exciting. And I feel so lucky to be working with him, and it's just amazing because he's built this incredible platform, worked with some amazing companies that fit in with his content, such as Indeed. So I decided to follow him around for the day. We spent an afternoon doing his content creation, where he goes up to strangers in the street and says, can I ask you a question? What do you do? He's known for going, so what do you do?
So what do you do? So what do you do? I'm Aydan, I'm an entrepreneur and content creator. I help companies grow through go-to-market consulting and advisory, and I create content around pay transparency and career transparency to give a wider impact around what people can do and earn in different careers. Now we are out in bank. We've been interviewing a bunch of different people in all different lines of careers. Eleanor's been doing some behind the scenes with the camera. And yeah, always great fun, meeting people, learning about new careers. I never met a sea charterer before. That's a new one for today. And then lots of traditional careers that we usually speak to as well.
You would have seen his stuff all over TikTok and Instagram, because so many of these videos have gone viral. Interviews, you know, people that work in investment banking to people that are nursing in the NHS, any walks of life. And it's really refreshing. And everyone provides a really unique outlook on the world, the industries there are, the different opportunities, which is great, but it also opens up your mind to like just how many jobs there are. And it's that phrase of you don't know what you don't know, because you could have no idea that some of these roles exist. We met up, had a little catch up first of all, and then we headed outside Bank Station where he takes a lot of his content. It's really interesting actually to see how these videos happen behind the scenes, because I do stuff like this anyway. I kind of like have an idea in that sense, in that context, but these street interviews, and when I've worked with brands before doing like Vox Pop-In, you just see how many times people just don't want to talk to you, especially at work. They are not interested in being interviewed. It's also really hard because you're expecting them to be on camera, which not everyone is okay with. You also expect them to give away their salary, which most people don't want to. And I really commend the people that do give it away, be it small, medium, large salary, whatever it is, because I think that is so important. It shouldn't be information that is hidden from us, in my opinion. Aydan is so confident, and it just works so well in that setting that he has the confidence to go up to anyone, but also the confidence to deal with that rejection, because it does come. Therefore, how do you possibly keep making content if everyone's going to reject you and you're going to give up? How do you continue making that content? Like, it's kind of refreshing to know that someone as big as Aydan does get rejected. People don't want to be in the videos.
Can I ask what you do for a living? Can I ask what you do for a living?
Sorry,
what do you do for a living?
I'm sorry.
For a living? No. Have a good day, buddy. That was a straight up no. For a living? Have a nice day, mate.
Sorry, mate. I'm on the street.
That's what you do. Have a lovely day. So we're on a streak of rejections right now. People are busy, places to go, lunch breaks, meetings. The only thing you got to do is just keep asking. That's all you're going to got to do.
What was also interesting is the people that agreed to the video and then later came back and said, hi, you interviewed me earlier, and since I decided that I don't want that to be online anymore. And another one is when he's had people DM him afterwards as well and say, actually, before you edit it, please don't put it online. And ones have gone up where they say, I don't want it on there anymore. So it can be really hard in that sense about content creation. One of the things I've learned as well is just like context which you're asking these people, because we were on a kind of like a lunchtime shift, if you like. Perhaps if you're doing it in rush hour, no one would want to speak to you. Perhaps if you're doing it after work, people just want to get home. It's also interesting, like the area in which you do these interviews, because a lot of the time Aydan does it in select areas, and bank being one of them, and that is a generalisation, but it's really high kind of turnover of like people that work in like finance. Therefore, perhaps if you were to go to a different area of London, you get completely different responses. It's great that you do get that variety of people that do want to talk to you, because you would think as well that only the people that are earning really high want to talk to you, and maybe the people that are on a lower salary are a bit embarrassed, or they're not as experienced, but it's great to have that. But also perhaps the people that are on a higher salary don't want to discuss it because they don't want people to know how much money they're on.
Some of the most shocking salaries, I think, generally, when you hear from people that are in the NHS and in healthcare, obviously a lot of these salaries are public, but a lot of them are much lower than what they should be. So, I think typically when people first hear them, my audience, when they hear that for the first time, I remember a video I did with a nurse and it blew up, and people in other countries couldn't believe what nurses are being paid here. Personally, I think actually when I spoke to a management consultant with a couple of years experience making less than 30, that shocked me, because I never thought that was, I thought that was quite a well-paid career, and it is in general. I think it was just that company was very much underpaying their team.
It's also a great business strategy for Aydan, right? Because he has now got so many contacts, because each of those people that he interviews is a contact and it's a new follower. Afterwards he goes up to them and says, this is how you can find me. This is where your video is going to be posted. So it's a great way to kind of build your connections there.
Do that.
Let me do that.
Easiest to do that.
Exactly. I asked between architects, assistants, photographers, founders, every different type of.
A lot of you probably do know this already, but this isn't Aydan's full-time job. Like, he's a really successful entrepreneur, and he's worked in sales for a lot of his life and everything as well. So to have this as kind of like a side hustle is great, and the fact that it's growing at the rate that it is and has done in the last X amount of months and years is great, and kind of just shows you the power of social media, I guess, because, we've seen some of these creators that do blow up and they become influencers, but what a brilliant type of influencer this is. There's nothing wrong with doing like beauty influencing, fine, but this is sparking like positive conversations. He also does like the odd video on like how to ask for a pay rise at work and things like that. So it's really giving a lot of value, and I think that we talk about that a lot in content creation, but it's like that added value of people aren't going to just follow you unless they're like your friend or your mum. People aren't going to follow you just because it's you. You have to give them something worth following, and Aydan 100% does that. And actually it's kind of interesting that he's behind the scenes so much, because it's his channel. He's doing all this work of talking to people on the streets. He's doing all this work of getting that content out there and promoting it, but it's the people that he interviews that actually give a lot of the value as well. So kudos to everyone that he has met and interviewed. I also did do an interview for him. It was one of those days where I had landed from Barcelona literally the day before, and I had about 5 different things going on that day. I was so tired, and we'd just done all this filming of like being behind the scenes film and everything, and it was like, hey, do you want to do one for the channel? So I was like, okay, fine. I was in between jobs at this point as well, so there was only so much I could say.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Thumbs up?
Thumbs up.
Excuse me.
And it's really interesting to see as well, like the engagement that different videos get. Aydan was sort of saying like you can kind of tell when he's doing these interviews which ones are likely to go more viral. And I think that's kind of obvious, if they say something quite controversial. I remember us interviewing these like lawyers, and they were essentially saying that there's a lot of late nights. And that's something that you don't hear, and that's not written on job descriptions and stuff. So yeah, it's really refreshing to have that content. People often ask Aydan when he was being stopped and everything, like, oh, when are you here? Like, oh, I don't want to do it today, but maybe, are you here next week? One of the key things that Aydan was saying is a huge impact is the weather. Like, he will just decide to grab his mic and his phone and go outside and record, and it's not one of those things that you can plan a shoot. Like, you're not in a studio because you are outside, and I think being outside definitely adds to a lot of the atmosphere, like the reality of it. You're literally stopping someone on the street. He's since taken this to the Tube and done a couple of Tube interviews as well in London, but I definitely think being outside has its benefits, but you have to bear in mind you are in London and you are in the UK, and the weather is not predictable. Really funny. and really wholesome to see how many people recognised Aydan.
You're a real person. This is crazy. I know you're Aydan. I know you are. Can I get a photo with you? Is that weird?
Yeah, if you don't know my channel, so...
No, we know who you are.
Again, not necessarily face and name, because he is often behind the camera asking these interviews, but the type of content that it's really obvious that he asks, and they sort of say, oh, you're the person that does this, I've seen you on TikTok, I follow you, that kind of thing. Really lovely woman came up and sort of said like, oh, can I get a picture of you, I love your videos, or this kind of thing. She didn't want to do an interview, but she loved to support it. And I think that it's a great point about fostering that community, because we know now on social media that like community is more important than ever, and it's not necessarily about having like great content, but it's about engaging with the people that are following you and that are commenting, and making them feel part of the journey as well. You know, they might be choosing your next video, they might be asking you questions which you're replying to. So kind of proving there that Aydan has created this community of people that are like just so thankful for him to be putting this information out there, and therefore getting the in-person recognition as well, because it's so different when you're creating content online to be bogged down in the numbers if something isn't viewing very well, if you've not got very many comments and engagement and stuff. But actually it's sometimes about like the things that you can't quantify. And I said that from the very beginning, like 3 years ago when I started my YouTube channel, that I never want to do it I don't want to be like a serious YouTuber. And for me, that meant like getting monetized. And actually, I am now monetized for my YouTube. And that's something that I genuinely never even considered a thing, because at the time, all I wanted to do was share my career journey and the things that I was learning, because I was so passionate about it. Then I never really cared about the views that I got. If a video was doing great in terms of views and likes and everything, that was a bonus. But for me, it was those hundreds of DMs and private messages and emails being like, I've just watched this video, thank you so much, or this has just helped me land this job, I took this advice and this is the response I got. And they have always, and probably will always, mean a lot more to me than the numbers, because the numbers do mean something, but they don't mean anything and in terms of the value per se. And like Aydan will have the same. He has all these comments and these DMs of people being just so thankful for this information. We're in an information sharing world. There's so much information out there, and I think it's so important that we share the right information. And there's so much information online that you can get bogged down in, that actually the more positive content we're putting out there that spark interesting conversations, that are getting rid of these taboos, the better. The more we can do that, the better. As I said, I have been working with Aydan on doing some of his like re-edits for his YouTube shorts, so I'm going to link all of his channels down below as well, so you can check them out. Presumably if you click on this video you know who Aydan Al-Saad is, but if you didn't, hey. And welcome to my channel as well, where I talk about marketing and career stuff. I do day in the life, I do interviews, that kind of jazz. And I thought it'd just be really interesting to show you guys the behind the scenes, because I'm so nosy at stuff like that, and everyone loves behind the scenes, so showing you that, and also this little discussion that we've had about things that I've learned and what it means for today's online content creation world. Thank you so much. Check out the links below, and hopefully see you in my next one.